Hi everybody, it's Kristina Dennis, Transformational Self-Empowerment Master, and I'm back. I went dark for a week and took a little bit of time to reflect and take care of myself, and I think it was a really great thing for me to do, to slow down and to do what I needed to do to take care of my son and take care of myself and just reflect on, why was I tired? How do I rebalance? How do I come back in and discuss some issues that are incredibly important? There was a lot that went on. The shootings. I don't know much about the dangers of losing some civil liberties, and I may lose some people in this, but I'm gonna let you know, I just don't think that there's any place for assault weapons, AK-47s, AK-15s, and large magazines. And that has been slowly and quietly rolled back, that ban. And I feel like if you are at all a person who's now afraid to go into the public eye or into large crowds, that perhaps it's time to start pressuring our congresspeople about putting that ban back. I'm not sure it'll ever happen, but I just want to speak my truth. So I'm going to say that and leave that here. The other thing I wanted to talk about was last night I went to a meetup of professional women and entrepreneurs, and I got to sit next to a real estate investor, very dynamic woman, Natalie Navarro, I think is her name. I'll put a link into her website or how to connect with her, but she works with people in regards to investments. And we were talking about the biggest hurdle for women investors was the confidence. She said one of the problems isn't the money, it's the fact that we often don't purchase real estate outside of a partner. And that she felt like what we were talking about, what I was talking about, was incredibly important to her group of people, because it does take a transformation and a change of mental state. And that made me start thinking about what empowerment and transformational self-empowerment is all about. And led me to realize that, yes, it is important that I continue to speak this and also speak out about us teaching each other these skills, because they are teachable. A lot of people think that confidence is a personality trait, and it's not. It is a state of independence. It's a behavior. It is practicing behaviors and getting used to them. And so I wanted to share a little story that I heard years and years ago, and it actually talks about what it feels like to work in a corporate world versus working for yourself or having your own business. And it was this kid had just graduated from high school, and a man came along and he said, I got some good news and some bad news for you. And he said, what is it? What is the good news, or what is the bad news? Tell me the bad news. And he said, all those dreams that you have about growing up or graduating from college and becoming super rich and doing everything that you want to do are never going to happen. And you're going to end up working for somebody else. You're going to work 40 years at a job you hate, 40 hours a week at a job you hate, or 50 hours a week. Hi, Kimberly. And after 40 years, you're going to retire, but maybe you will have enough money to retire, and maybe you won't, but you'll live on 40%. Possibly, if you're lucky. And the kid looked at him and was like, oh my gosh, well, what's the good news? And he said, you'll get used to it. Oh, it still gives me chills when I think about that. It's one of the reasons why I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. It's also one of the reasons why I've always felt like working for somebody else was painful in many ways. Not to say that there aren't really good jobs and good industries and good vocations that include working for a company, but it isn't like it used to be. And I wanted to take that lesson, not to preach entrepreneurship, not to preach a different mindset, although I think it's incredibly important. It was to talk about what it takes to have confidence and step out into your dreams. And let me tell you, when you're making a change, when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, what are the feelings that come? Well, usually it's nausea, confusion, feeling like you're doing all the wrong things, scary, fear. I know I've said that multiple times, but it isn't pleasant feelings, right? It isn't, oh, this feels good. There aren't people on the sidelines. There isn't a great soundtrack to your moves, although I often have a soundtrack in my head when I'm, moving along. That may make me weird, but it's a feeling that most of us are really scared to have, but it's the feeling that we have to get used to in order to get to our dreams. It's that belief system And that knowing that self-empowerment that I talk about, that we will get used to if we keep doing it. And how do you do it? Well, I think accountability partners are incredibly important. I don't know anybody, including myself, who does anything completely self-motivated. So I encourage you, and I encourage myself, to continue getting used to what it feels like to step out and step toward our dreams. Getting used to how it feels to have that kind of pit in our stomach. Because guess what? It changes. Our brain changes. We think on purpose and we start moving toward the things that we're thinking about. And if I can impart that lesson to women of today, to say, I wanna meet up with Natalie and hear her say, I have so many women investors who are taking charge of their life and are not afraid to step out and be strong, are not afraid to make mistakes, then, you know, that's what all of this is about, is encouraging you to go for it and to learn how to go for it. And part of that is practicing being uncomfortable. It'll get comfortable, and then you'll have to go up the game a little bit, you know, and you'll be around people who are reflecting and clapping on the sidelines. So go outside, get yourself an accountability partner. Let's talk about visions, visualizing, and your dreams next week. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and love you all.